Dragon Ball and fusions. When talking about the fusions in Dragon Ball, the first and usually only thing people talk about are the two fusion techniques that actually have the word fusion in their names. The Namekian Fusion, or the fusion dance as it's commonly referred to, as well as the Potara Fusions. However, these are just two examples of something that is far more common than you might realize. The textbook definition of a fusion is the process or result of joining two or more things together to form a single entity. And now with that in mind, other than the Potara Fusion and the fusion dance, is there anything else that you can think of that also fits that definition? You should be able to, because there are plenty. And on the flip side, we've also seen the opposite of a fusion, a separation on multiple occasions. Instead of multiple beings joining to become one, you've got one being separating itself into two or more beings. In this video, I will be explaining the various fusions in Dragon Ball along with the separations, as well as a few other things that I think are relevant to the discussion. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And here we go. After the intro, of course. So first, let's take a look at how the series has used the fusions and these separations. When two characters fuse, the end result is a being that's far stronger than the two fusees. As such, most of the fusions in the series are out of desperation to gain the power needed to defeat an enemy that's so powerful they could not beat them any other way. There have been a couple of accidental fusions as well, and the separations that have occurred have all been used to separate the good and evil aspects of a character, creating two different characters, one that is good and one that is evil. I want to get the obvious ones out of the way first, so we're going to start with the Namekian Fusion, or the Fusion Dance as it's commonly referred to. Kind of like the Super Saiyan 3, the Namekian Fusion is something that Goku conveniently learned before the Buu saga, in the other world. And this is a technique that was developed by a race called the Namekians, hence the name Namekian Fusion, and it is achieved by the two characters doing a perfectly synced dance. There are several fused characters that have appeared in the video games and in random other obscure formats, but not in the anime and manga, so I'm going to leave them out of this. The only two that actually matter are Gotenks and Gogeta. Now, Gotenks is the result of Goten and Trunks fusing. When fused, he was easily able to go Super Saiyan 3, and before Ultimate Gohan showed up, he was the only one that could fight evenly with Super Buu. When in the hyperbolic time chamber, he was strong enough to rip a hole in the dimension and leave the room, even though the entrance had been destroyed.
Fusion! Ha!
Gogeta has never actually appeared in anything that's canon, but he's the result of Goku and Vegeta fusing. In the Fusion Reborn movie, when Goku turned Super Saiyan 3, he managed to shake all the other world while powering up, and he was still no match for Janemba. However, Gogeta easily defeated Janemba with almost no effort at all. And in GT, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta toyed with Omega Shenron the entire time, and he was so fast that Omega Shenron could not even see him when he was hitting him. So as simple as it might seem, the characters have to be perfectly synced. They have to mirror each other's movements perfectly. They have to say the words in sync. Their power levels have to be exactly the same. And if anything is off, no matter how petty it might seem, the result can be disastrous, as we have seen firsthand on several different occasions. The first time that Goten and Trunks attempted to fuse into Gotenks, Trunks' finger stretched at the wrong point, and this resulted in a fat Gotenks. During their second attempt at the fusion dance, when they say "ha," the fingers never actually met, and as a result they turn into crackhead Gotenks, or skinny Gotenks, or whatever his name is. Now in the Fusion Reborn movie, Goku and Vegeta fused into Gogeta and easily defeated Janemba, but that was their second attempt. In their first attempt, Vegeta fails to put his finger out, and it causes them to fuse into Viku, or a fat version of Gogeta. Now, successful or not, once the two characters fuse, there are several limitations. The fusion on paper is supposed to last for 30 minutes, although several factors can have an impact on the length of the fusion. If somebody's able to inflict enough damage on the fused characters, it can cause the fusion to end, which is what we see happen when Gotenks tried to attack Beerus. The amount of power, I should say, required to maintain the fusion also plays a role in the length of the fusion. As an example, in GT, when Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta fused into Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, the power needed to maintain the fusion was so great that it only lasted for a few minutes. After the fusion ends, the two fighters that make the fusion have to wait at least an hour before they can even attempt it again. However, all the rules of this fusion are contradicted in the OVA Dragon Ball. Son Goku and friends return because Goten and Trunks were able to defuse themselves after turning into a fat Gotenks and then immediately trying it again. Next, let's take a look at the Potara Fusion, the most powerful fusion in the series, which is achieved when two people wear a single Potara earring in separate ears. Now, the Potara earrings are those earrings that are worn by the Supreme Kai and their apprentices. When the individuals that are going to fuse put on the Potara, they're automatically drawn together until they connect, and they fuse into one being. The resulting fused being is far more powerful than the two fusees. Their exact power is debated as there are conflicting explanations. In some of the guidebooks, it's stated that their strength is the strength of one of the fusees x the strength of the other fusee, like Goku x Vegeta, leading some to believe that the power of the two fusees are multiplied, so it would be Goku's power times Vegeta's power. While an X can sometimes like that be used to also mean plus. Also, according to Vados, the fusion creates a new body and power greater than the sum of the two individuals, and it increases their power tens of times. The Potara Fusion does have some of the weaknesses, some of the limitations as the fusion dance does, but not all of them. The individuals that fuse with the Potara do not have to have equal power levels. They don't have to be in sync. If the fusion is between two mortals, in theory, it should have a limit of about 1 hour. However, like the fusion dance, the amount of power required to maintain the fusion can decrease its duration. This contradicts what was originally said about the Potara Fusion in Dragon Ball Z when they were used against Buu. When old Kai said that it was going to be permanent. Now in Super, according to Guasa, we learned that it was only permanent if the individuals that fused are gods. Now we only have 2 examples of the fusion dance. However, we do have several more examples. 6 examples, I should say, of the Potara Fusion. The first Potara Fusion that we know about is also the event that caused the Elder Kai to look as old as he does. It happened millions of years ago. He was reading a comic book, and a witch snuck up behind him, took one of his Potara, and then before he could stop her, she put it on, and they immediately fused into the being that we now know as Elder Kai. Now the next Potara Fusion that we know of is Kabito Kai. He came into being after Shin gave Kabito one of the Potara earrings that he was wearing, so that they could see how this fusion worked, while the Elder Kai was explaining everything to Goku. While they were making their plans to bring Goku back to life and then send him back to Earth with some of the Potara so he could fuse with Gohan, they managed to get this fusion to end, though, with a wish upon the Dragon Balls. Now, after Kabito Kai, we get to see Vegito for the first time. Now, their plan was to fuse with Gohan. It failed miserably, so instead Goku gave the Potara to Vegeta. They fused into Vegito, their trump card. Vegito's first appearance was in Dragon Ball Z during the fight against Buu, and the second and only other time that he has appeared in the series was when he fought against Merge Zamasu in the future. During the fight with Buu, the fusion ended when Vegito allowed him to absorb him, and then the Merge Zamasu fusion against him ended because the amount of power required to maintain the fusion was so great that it only lasted for a couple of minutes. Now, Merge Zamasu was the result of Goku Black and the immortal future Zamasu fusing. Now, Zamasu's decision to fuse with Goku Black was the result of experiencing the Mafuba. He could barely escape from it when they used it against him, and it scared the hell out of him. I don't think it is accurate to say that this fusion ended, because he was still technically fused when Trunks used his Bankai and sliced him in half. Now, the next Potara Fusion was Kale and Khalifa fusing into Kefla. The Supreme Kai of Universe 6 gave them the Potaras before the Tournament of Power even started, and they ended up using them when they were on the verge of being defeated by Goku. They still lost to Goku, but he was using Ultra Instinct at the time, and their defeat caused the fusion to end, and the Potaras were destroyed at the exact same time. So I originally planned to do this all in one video, but this is going to end up being a lot longer than I was planning on doing it. So instead I'm going to cut this in half. So in this video, obviously, I talked about the Namekian Fusion and the Potara Fusion. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about the Namekian Fusion, as well as both Cell and Buu's absorption abilities. I should have that video up probably tomorrow at some point in time, so if you want to watch that, that should be up, possibly by the time you even watch this one. But with that being said, that's all I've got for you guys in this video, so don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.